And we're back after a brief break. You're watching South Texas Crossfire with your host, Attorney Joe Flores. We have very hot races that are coming up right here, and not only congressional and Senate races, but also races that affect families, that affect our children. And one of those is County Court at Law number 5. My good friend, we've got Tim McCoy. You've seen his campaign signs. You've seen him out there campaigning. And now in the flesh, right here in your TV box, coming into your, and also you'll be seeing him on iPad and iPhone and Android, because we'll be on Facebook and also Twitter and YouTube. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me again.
Well, it's been a while, but, congratulations, first of all, on that resounding victory. I think you set the record. It was like, I think, 81% or 82 or...
83. Not
83,
anybody's counting.
But who's counting, but it was you knocked the socks off of people, man. I mean, there was a lot of support, more than just a statistical thing. It was like resounding that you had so much support. And, I'm hearing a lot of good, positive things, that people are crossing over for you and are supporting you. And you've got some stalwart, people that were Democrats. But I guess just introduce yourself again to our audience that hasn't met you out there, particularly Latino viewers. Tell us a little bit about your training, education, background, your family, the works.
Well, I'm Tim McCoy, or Timothy McCoy. That's the way it'll be on the ballot. And I grew up here in Corpus Christi. I went to Meadowbrook Elementary, Cullen Junior High, and then graduated from King High School. And I went on to the University of Texas at Austin, and graduated from UT in 4 years, put myself through college, worked in, those student loans.
Yeah, we're still paying.
Right. And then, but college was important to me, so it's something that I worked hard to do. Went on to law school, South Texas College of Law, and graduated, came back to Corpus immediately. And from the very beginning of my career up until now, I've been working in County Court at Law number 5. County Court number 5 has been a passion of mine. It's been a large part of my practice throughout the years, and it's something I want to continue to do. I want to continue serving the children and families in Court 5.
Well, and your opponent was one of the first prosecutors out there, worked there for a while, and the question is, that people have said, well, you've been out there on one side of it, but how would you handle a question saying, well, you haven't been a prosecutor in there, but yet you've seen how the system works on both sides? I mean, obviously, but you weren't per se a prosecutor in there. But what would you change if you were elected as the judge for Juvenile Justice Center? What most drives you to say, this needs to change? What's your passion in there? I mean, you've been in there for years.
Right. Well, one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the things I want to focus on in that court is, there's a lot of reasons why children end up in that court. Neglect, criminal matters, that type of thing. And time after time after time, I notice the children in there, they aren't necessarily aware of everything out there, or all of the programs available, or they're not necessarily aware of how many people are out there willing to help, and they're not necessarily aware of a different road to take other than the road, for example, getting into criminal trouble, getting in trouble with the law. And that's something I really want to focus on with the kids, is showing them a different path, not only a different path, but building up self-esteem. When you go back and when I go back and visit my clients in detention hearings, Joe, you've done detention hearings. I mean, you see them in those blue jumpsuits and heads down, distraught. And, I want to teach these children that, despite the fact that they're in trouble, they're still, you can build them up, show them teach them how to have some respect for themselves and others. And, that's a lesson that we all had to learn, and that's a good life lesson.
Well, coming around full circle, the people that are asking, well, he hasn't been a prosecutor, but by the same token, many people that have tried to straddle this bench have not been on that side with the children, the victims. Sometimes these quote unquote offenders that are in a jumpsuit, they've had rampant sexual abuse, they've been exploited, they've been bullied all their
Absolutely.
life, they have drug problems. We've seen devastating cuts, and I don't not think necessarily that locking more kids up is the solution. You talked about some programs. What would you do as an alternative to incarcerating these kids?
Well, and to be clear, sometimes tough love is the only answer. And,
Oh yeah,
right. And the goal of the juvenile justice system is rehabilitation first. I mean, you and I both know that. We've been practicing in that court for years. Unlike the adult system, where punishment is your first goal, and then rehabilitation. So sometimes with a child, you get to the point where, if you've exhausted all those options, you have to
9 times 10.
right, exactly, or I don't know about 9. So that's
Yeah,
a little much,
they'd
but
be out in Brownwood
you got to
or
be
something,
tough.
yes.
If you're not tough on these children, they're going to they're not going to get the message. I mean, I learned that from my parents growing up, and sometimes you have to get them off the street to protect the public, and that's a decision I'll have no problem making. That being said, being that the focus is rehabilitation under the law, that's not, as a judge, it's my job to follow the law. I don't make the law. We've got to institute these programs. We've got to make them aware of these programs. Mentoring programs. That's the best option in my mind. And one of the reasons I say that, when you get a child on probation, or in a CPS case, that type of thing, and the child can't make it to his probation meetings because he has a single mother that has to work, or doesn't have somebody to help him with that, well, then they're going to fail. So if you're going to impose conditions on children and try to get them the help, you have to make sure they can actually do the stuff you're asking them to do. And,
Well, and not just this court's not just the criminal aspect, but let's turn it's civil, because you've got child protective services on
Absolutely.
there, and some people are burning mad on either side, saying child protective isn't hard enough on these parents. They get kind of caught in the middle. I think they do an outstanding job.
Absolutely.
But we've got like Tara O'Connell that leads a lot of that. But you also have the other side of it, where some parents say, man, they're just always on me. I don't even have, I've got, I can't even work. I've had to go to all these classes and these plans of correction. And, I've heard people say you never see a family from Ocean Drive out there in CPS land. And how much of that is true and how much is not?
It's not true at all. I've seen families from all walks of life.
Rich, poor.
County Court 5, yeah, and that's, you can't make that distinction. It makes no difference if if there's a neglect and enough to where CPS gets involved, then they're going to be involved. I don't, like I said, I've seen it all.
Well, and on that, how would you work with CPS and with parents in order to achieve a balance? Is there something that you're critical or concerned with right now that is not exactly up to par that you see you could improve in that court?
Well, Child Protective Services they do great work. We couldn't function without them. We couldn't as a society. I mean, they really, when a child is being neglected or harmed, I mean, they're the front lines. They're the ones that go in and handle the situation. And so you have to commend them for that. Now, on the other hand, they are, when we end up in County Court 5, they are a party to a lawsuit. Child Protective Services, and they come in and tell their side of the issues and their side of the story, whereas the parents who got their child removed also has an opportunity to tell their side of the story. And that's the way the system works. And so you work within that system, you hear the case, and you hopefully, as a judge, make the right decision as to where to go from there. Many times, like you end up in court within 14 days after a child's been removed. And, I'm hoping I use this a lot. There's a difference in real intelligent and real wisdom. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a wise person, but I'm hoping that I've had enough experience with my work with Child Protective Services and with children, my entire life, that I'll be able to make the right decisions when it comes to those situations. If I'm elected to this bench, I'll have the most experience in that court, more experience in that court than anybody that's ever taken that bench, and I think that's that's a good thing.
What are you hearing out there, as far as now, I know that you've run a clean campaign. As far as politics, let's zoom out a little bit. We have learned through The Voice and some other media outlets that there's a lawsuit. Your opponent has a lawsuit against the city for an employment law issue and in federal court. So how has that come into any of the debates that you've come in? Any of your supporters, has that given them pause or concern that there's a lawsuit out there?
First of all, that's public record. I heard that it's been. I haven't brought it out. I heard about it, and in fact, I just heard about it very recently. I wasn't even really aware of it, and I don't know all the specifics involved in it. I haven't brought it out. I mean, I guess it's something I can look into, but I don't really know enough about the specifics of it to really comment on it.
Well, we got about a minute left, and so I mean, if a lot of people are saying, "Oh God, Madrigal, McCoy, both of them have been in that court. Why should they vote for you over her?" In other words, I guess the bottom line here is when the rubber hits the road, why are they going to cast a ballot for you instead of her?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of it comes down to judicial demeanor, and I believe in that sense I'm more qualified. I've had more life experience in situations with working with children than my opponent, and I think I'll work well with others. The court, I get along with everybody at the court. You're going to have a safe, easy working environment. Not only that, but I'm the father of 2 children. I have a 5 and a 9-year-old. You've met them, Joe, and they're great kids. And
they didn't destroy any property here at the office. Thank God.
Right, and I think if you're going to empathize with children and empathize and make decisions regarding children, I think that's a big deal. I think it helps to have raised children before, and I think that's a big difference in my opponent and I. I've got the experience in that court. There's no question about that. I'm in there day in, day out. I know I'm the best candidate for the job. This is my passion, and I'm ready.
Well said. And